Can I address that? Because there's a good example of that. It was clearly military stand down because 90 minutes into the attack, the Pentagon was hit. Andrews Air Force Base, 10 miles down the road, with 2 fighter squadrons on station, built in 1947 for the sole purpose of protecting D.C., yet they never scrambled a single aircraft. And the average response time in 2001 was 17 to 19 minutes from the minute they got message of an errant aircraft to visual acquisition of the plane by fighter interceptors. So to believe that the Pentagon could have been hit 90 minutes into the attack, it has to be military stand down. There can't be any other reason.
And it's my belief, and I've seen pictures of them, that the Pentagon, I always believed it was the case, and still do, that the Pentagon has air defense missiles on the rooftop to protect it. I mean, you know, even if somehow it were true, the government's ridiculous conspiracy theory, the American people deserve answers. Like, how come our multi-trillion-dollar military was unable to protect even their own headquarters from an unarmed aircraft? You know, doesn't make any sense.
I just want to say, because I meant to announce this earlier, and I don't want people running out without realizing, but we have a whole table of informational DVDs. A few of them are 911. One is 911 Blueprint for Truth. It's just done very common sensely and clearly shows demolitions of the towers. Another one, Press for Truth, is another one that is a very great break-in on 911 information, because it follows the track of the victims' families and their push for 911 investigation. It is the people that we owe for what the result was, the 911 Commission report. But these are definitely key documentaries, as well as many others that we have over there. They're just $2 a piece. They're being, the take is being donated.
The answer to your question, the short answer to your question is, in the 9 months of that year leading up to September 11th, intercepts of aircraft that had either lost their transponder, lost voice contact, or went off course. Any of the three. Standard procedure, intercept. Those aircraft that day, of course, did all of those things. But in the 9 months before that, in that year, I think 65 times aircraft had those problems and were successfully intercepted. None of them took more than 20 minutes.
Bob, do you want to talk a little about, I actually wanted to ask you this about, there were 5 different exercises going on, not only that day, but like one of the exercises was they flew a lot of the jets from the East Coast out to the West Coast, like about a month prior to all this happening. And they do exercises like this, around different times, but it's interesting that a lot of the jets that normally would have been on the ground on the East Coast were now in Alaska, out on the West Coast. And then there were like 3 other exercises going on that day, which kind of confused things.
They went out to sea.
That's the propaganda. That gave them an escape clause. Oh, we just had all these drills going, there's nothing we could do.
But it also confused what was actually going on.
If anybody wants a detailed analysis of that specific series of events that you're referring to, it is contained in Mike Rupert's book, Crossing the Rubicon. And Mike, that was the first book that I read on 9/11. And Mike lays out the case for all of these exercises. Some of them were called Northern Guardian,
Tripod 3.
Anyway, for you folks who are not 9/11 truthers and whatnot, I would like to explain why so many here are interested in 9/11 and in getting to the details of it. And it's because everything that has happened since then has been blamed on 9/11. We're continually told the world changed on 9/11.
Post 9/11, this is what we call it, the post 9/11 era.
Yeah, and so the belief is that it's quite possible that 9/11 was caused deliberately in order to make those changes, in order to give us excuses to go to war the wars which the people around Bush had in their own website and on our own writings had said they wanted. They wanted to attack Iraq. They wanted to attack Afghanistan. It was all out there in black and white in the PNAC documents. They wanted to take away our civil rights. They wanted to have a unitary president, a president with the powers to do things. They have all these post 9/11 changes were pre-planned. The Patriot Act was written before 9/11 happened.
5,000 pages.
Yeah. You know.
They wanted to do Pearl Harbor, and they said that's what they wanted.
Yeah, in the PNAC document, they said the American people are unlikely to go for this unless there is a catalyzing event like a new Pearl Harbor. That's what 9/11 was.
Sir, I agree that impeachment is an essential part of the cleansing that has to take place, but does it not seem that a full explanation of that process leading up to 9/11 is as important or more important, especially when it offers so many windows on other aspects of the moment in history that we are.
Well, I am pushing for a new and independent investigation of
This
9/11.
government investigation?
No, wait a minute. I don't, it has to have subpoena power. It has to have enforcement. It, I don't think we can have a decent investigation of 9/11 as long as the Bush administration's in power. I think impeachment has to precede it. Besides, the investigation of 9/11 will take a long time, many months, perhaps years, to do it right. And we don't have that for impeachment. Impeachment is, we're not calling for Cheney and Bush to be impeached for 9/11. We don't know if they were involved in 9/11, and it would take an investigation to find out. We want them impeached for what we already can prove they did, which is lie us into unnecessary wars of aggression, exploiting 9/11. Yeah, we have the proof of that. We also can prove that they covered up what really happened on 9/11. That's another reason for impeachment.
How likely do you think that, how likely do you think it will be, how do I say this? Do you think we'll need another false flag event to justify going into Iran? How likely an event do you think that is? Would that be necessary? Do you think they could do something else besides that?
I think that the likelihood is that they are contemplating a false flag event to justify an attack on Iran. However, we have to also face the fact that Israel doesn't appear, the government there doesn't appear to be quite as squeamish as ours, and may ignore the will of their people as well as ours, and just attack Iran when it wants to, which very well could be between